welcome. We're very delighted to have Leah Boylan from Arthritis Concern, who's giving us a talk on arthritis and all the things that can be done to alleviate the problem, which is a problem which many of us will have experienced or know friends, neighbours who will want support. So very important topic to all of us, or pretty well all of us. Thank you very much indeed for being here, Leah. We look forward to hearing you. And you said you'll take questions after your talk. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right.
So well, over to you, Leah. And we all sit round with bated breath. And thank you.
No problem, thanks. No pressure at all. So it's all fine. Thank you for having me. I do have some slides to share, so I'll just do that now. Hopefully you'll be able to see it. And then I'm just going to make it bigger. So hopefully this will work. Oh.
Excellent.
Can you see that? Perfect.
Yes.
Perfect. So today it's just going to be a talk about kind of living with arthritis, how it can be managed, and how Arthritis Action can help you, really, what we do as a charity and the different resources that we've got available. So as a charity, we've actually been running for 80 years. So this year is our 80th anniversary. So we've always kind of focused on self-management and different lifestyle choices that people can make. So I think, like I was saying to Chris at the beginning, self-management is the main focus for us. So I can't offer any medical advice or any kind of diagnosis, but I can kind of give a bit of information about things that might be of help if you have arthritis, or you think you might have it, or you know somebody who does. But basically our main aim is to kind of help people gain knowledge and confidence to kind of manage the pain. The pain might not go away, but kind of ways to kind of turn it down a bit, and kind of get into the routine and kind of learn to live with it and deal with the pain or kind of associated symptoms as they arise. But if you do want to do any kind of reading after this, we do have a really good website with lots of videos and different resources like recipes and fact sheets and videos and things like that. So I am also happy to circulate around some helpful links to kind of save you trawling through the website, because there is a lot of information on there. But the impact of arthritis, it is a very common condition. So currently 1 in 6 people in the UK do have arthritis. And if you have it yourself, you'll know it can cause lots of pain and swelling and stiffness in the joints. So the thumbs, the hands, the wrists, shoulders, hips, it can cause a lot of discomfort. So while there's lots of different types of arthritis, there are kind of 2 common ones really. So you have osteoarthritis, which is also known as wear and repair of the joints. And a good way of looking at that is kind of the bones of the joints rubbing on each other without kind of having the muscle or fluids that are supporting the joints that kind of make it feel that little bit more comfortable. That usually affects people over the age of 45, but again, it can kind of come on at any age. It just is more common over 45. And then you have inflammatory or rheumatoid arthritis, which can begin at a much younger age. So a lot of people kind of first get it in their 20s or 30s, and that's kind of to do with the immune system attacking the joints. So arthritis, it can be a kind of secondary condition, if you like, of another illness. So for example, irritable bowel disease or lupus or things like that, they can all kind of affect the joints as well. But self-management techniques can reduce the impact of arthritis, which I'm going to be going over a few of these in the next few slides. So if you do have any questions, please let me know at the end, or if you have any, not even a question, but just something you want to share or something you find that helps you or somebody else you know, that's always really helpful to hear, to kind of share those experiences. So we kind of say self-management and supported self-management a lot, but kind of what does it actually mean? So There's more than 200 different types of arthritis if you kind of break it down beyond rheumatoid and osteoarthritis. Arthritis is the umbrella term for a variety of different musculoskeletal conditions. So kind of even if there's some of you on this call, you might have arthritis in your hips, for example, kind of how you kind of experience that and the pain you have will be very different from each other. So it's really important to find an approach to work that works for you and not kind of compare your experience to other people that might have it, because that's not going to be helpful, because pain levels that everyone has are completely different, and your kind of mobility and movement and things like that. So please do go at your own pace, and kind of this is what we're good at, is kind of sharing resources to help you find that. And it's kind of important to highlight it can be a bit of a trial and error process to find what works for you, and that might constantly change, and that's all right as well. It's kind of adapting and looking at what you can do as opposed to what you might not be able to do. So on this slide, you'll be able to see the kind of two aspects of self-management. So you've got the physical aspects of it and the mental side to it as well. So if we start with the physical aspects of living with arthritis and managing it, you'll see that there's weight management and healthy eating. So they're kind of linked together. There used to be kind of lots of information about certain diets that might be able to cure your arthritis, but essentially arthritis isn't something that can be cured. It's something that has to be managed. It's a long-term condition. So when we talk about diet, we kind of look at more kind of weight management, because the heavier you are, there's more pressure on your joints. So our dietitian is who works with us, Martin, he's always advocating for it. It sounds quite boring, and I think some people want like the magic cure of a diet, but that's not kind of a long-term solution. It's about kind of eating a healthy, balanced diet and thinking about portion control and keeping to a healthy weight. You then have kind of exercise and physical activity, which is one of the most important things you can do, really. It helps to keep the muscles strong that surround the joints. And we're not kind of saying, I'm not saying to anyone to go out and do anything too strenuous. It's kind of building up gradually the stronger you get. So it might just be doing a few stretches whilst the adverts come on TV, or going for a short walk around the block. Or some people might also like going to a Pilates class or doing some yoga, but also things around the house like gardening and cleaning all count as kind of exercise and movement. So it's anything to keep you active, really. And then you have clinical support. So by that, it's kind of lots of different health professionals that are involved in the kind of care or management of arthritis. So if you have inflammatory arthritis, it might be a rheumatologist. If you're perhaps on the waiting list for surgery, it would be an orthopedic surgeon. You've then got physiotherapists and occupational therapists, and osteopaths, and maybe acupuncturists as well. So it's kind of working out who's able to support you. I know at the moment it's waiting times and things like that are very kind of different, and it can be hard to do that. But and also pain management services as well, if you can get referred onto that, if your pain is at a level where you're finding it quite excruciating, really. And then kind of we also link pain management in with exercise, because kind of keeping the muscles strong is one really important thing that you can do. But I will go into a bit more detail of that later on. And then on the mental side of it, you have kind of distraction techniques some people find can really help with the pain. So we've actually got a really good video on that. So deep breathing, muscle relaxation. But again, it doesn't work for everyone, but it might work for you. The most kind of prominent one that we kind of talk about on a daily basis when we get phone calls from our members or the public is setting targets and pacing. Because if you do have arthritis, you'll know that there's kind of good days and bad days when the pain might be worse. But so we tend to get everything done on the days where we feel good, kind of leaving us feeling kind of tired for the rest of the week. So it's kind of breaking it down into manageable chunks of time that can be related to socializing, exercise, things around the house, and kind of saying no and communicating that with people as to what's manageable for you. But also looking at thinking in a more positive mindset if you are in a lot of pain. I think some of us have, it's really common, a tendency to think, oh, say even 6 months ago I could do this, or a year ago I could do that. And that can really be quite difficult to manage, in the sense that it's not looking at what you're able to do now. So We found, for example, a lot of people after the pandemic are finding it harder to get back into exercise and going back at the level they used to be able to do kind of before COVID, where we were able to go out and about a lot more. And then but that's fine. It's much better to start small and build your strength up than it is to go full pelt into something that then might cause you more pain later on. Improving communication, whether that's with friends or family or healthcare professionals, to like tell people how you're feeling, and kind of what you want out of it, whether there's any asking if there's any further referrals that can be made, or talking with your GP, or kind of explaining to your family that maybe today isn't a good day for you because of your arthritis, and that's okay as well. And kind of dealing with emotions. Again, we've got a really good video about that, particularly when people are newly diagnosed. It can be quite a difficult thing to come to terms with if it's something that you've got to continually manage and kind of think and adapt, and that's quite difficult. So if you do want more information about that, we do have a really good video. But again, I'm happy to send around those useful links as well. So hopefully this is a good overview of the mental and physical aspects, and I'll go into a little bit more detail of them. But I just wanted to share some quotes with you of what we kind of call supported self-management. So it's about allowing, it's not just you, for example, that can help, that can manage it. There's other people around you that can help. Most people want to help, but obviously it's about setting that balance so you don't maybe find people too overbearing or too helpful. It's kind of making it work for you. But one of the nicest quotes that we have, I always kind of say this in our talks, is I've not got my old life back, but learning to enjoy my new life. And it's kind of, again, looking at what you can do rather than what you can't do. It can be a bit of a longer thought process to get to that point, but it's something that's really worth persevering with. But again, happy to answer any questions that you've got about this after the slides. So the first, I was speaking about diet at the beginning. You'll be pleased to know there's not the evidence to say of particular foods that make your arthritis worse is very limited. So you may have heard previously that foods like tomatoes would make your arthritis worse, or potatoes, or other kind of vegetables like nightshade vegetables of that nature, so peppers, aubergines. That's not the case as such. And I think, again, it goes back to the case that arthritis isn't curable as such, it's a long-term condition. So we kind of look at kind of keeping to a healthy balanced diet and what works for you. So one thing we're quite we kind of want to kind of divert people from doing is Googling diet and arthritis, because you'll be hit with probably over 1 billion things, to be honest with you. There'll be companies selling you like wonder cures and supplements, and before you know it, you would have spent hundreds of pounds. And I think that's a really important thing to recognize. If you see an advert for a wonder cure for arthritis that involves taking a certain tablet and it's going to cure you, or super things like that, where you're kind of being coerced into spending a lot of money, please do take that with a pinch of salt. And it's important to remember, if some people take glucosamine or turmeric or rosehip supplements, if you find that they work for you, go for it. The likelihood of them doing long-term harm is extremely low, but the people in Holland and Barrett are salespeople. So if you are unsure, particularly if you're on other medication and you think supplements what might work for you, it's actually a really good place to consult a pharmacist, because they'll be able to kind of tell you what interferes with other medication that you might be taking. So it's always good to do a bit of kind of evidence-based research on that rather than just relying on Google. So that's like, if that's any food for thought for today, please just take those annoying adverts with a pinch of salt. And then including plenty of fruits and vegetables in your diet. So that's always helpful again, and appropriate portion sizes. So that's really important. So you don't have to stick to a particular diet. It's all everything is in moderation. And as a charity, as part of our membership, we do have a dietitian. If you were to join, for example, which is beside the point as such, but that's kind of everything that he says. It's kind of a more sensible approach. It's not the most glamorous thing to think about, but it is a sense of kind of having a healthy diet and exercising as such. So it's more about weight management. But again, happy to answer questions at the end about that. And then exercise. We get a lot of questions about exercise, because I think when you think of the word, it kind of think, oh God, I've got to go for a run, or I've got to go and do something really strenuous. But again, that's not the case at all. Consistent movement is a really good way to relieve the pain associated with arthritis, and working at your own level as well. So that could be a few stretches, like I said, it could be a walk, and it's better to do 5 minutes than it is to do nothing. And then over time you can build that up, and that's really important, is kind of building that strength. You might have a bit of pain after exercise, and that's completely normal. It's kind of showing that your muscles have been working. But if you find that you're experiencing kind of stabbing or excruciating pain, that's a sign that you're probably doing too much. And in some instances, it is kind of good to speak to your GP before kind of undertaking exercise if it is very new to you. And it's different in every kind of area, but there's usually some equivalent of a GP exercise referral scheme. So if you have that available to you, it is definitely worth looking into, because it's kind of working with people that know what it's like. Well, they're specialised in working with people that have conditions such as arthritis or diabetes and other things as well. But over time, it's not something, you won't kind of feel the benefits of exercise straight away. It is something that you have to kind of build up. But over time, you'll kind of notice more energy and less pain, and the way your muscles and joints move you'll have much more kind of increased mobility. But again, it's something like the diet and kind of healthy eating, it is something that you've got to persevere with as well. And do something you enjoy. I think if you want to make it part of your routine, for it to be consistent, it has to be enjoyable. And some people love Pilates, some people hate it. So there's no point doing something that you feel isn't going to work for you, because you're not going to get anything out of that. And again, it doesn't have to be vigorous. And on our website, I think it's on the next slide, we've got some really good, like, simple chair-based exercises that kind of show you what to do to exercise different parts of your body. And also, exercise can be social, whether you're meeting friends for a walk, or you're going to a class, or meeting people when you get to, say, the swimming pool or something. So please kind of see it as a positive thing rather than something that you have to do. It's finding enjoyment in things. But again, I always like to hear what kind of exercise routines people have, because there's always different surprising ones. So again, happy to answer questions. But there's lots of different types of exercise, and again, it links in with pacing as well. There's no point, say, doing 45 minutes of something if you know that you're going to be knackered the next day. It's about kind of pacing your time. And a really good example of that we use is swimming or going to the swimming pool. Whilst it's really good cardio aerobic exercise, it's also a bit of a faff to get there. So please do take that into account, that the time you spend getting to it, an exercise class or getting ready, and then but you've got to do the exercise when you get there, have your swim, and then obviously get ready afterwards. If you thought, for example, spending 30 minutes in the pool, it's not just 30 minutes, it's everything kind of around that as well. So please do kind of factor that into it. Things at home like gardening and cleaning, like I said, they're all good movement. So please just remember that. If you say, I've not done anything today, you might have done a load of things around the house. So obviously that counts into movement and your energy as well. And then you've got kind of resistance exercise that are really good for like building muscle and strength. So whether that's balancing on one leg, using some kind of weights, whether that's actual dumbbells or just tins of beans or bottles of water, that's all good. But again, it's not, if you've never done it before, never used that additional weight, for example, it's better to start small and gradually build up your strength. And then you've got things like yoga and Pilates for flexibility. But these little cartoons are, please don't go at the speed of the cartoon, because that will depend on your internet connection as well. She goes a little bit quick on mine. But we've got lots of different chair-based exercises for like the knees, I think, the hips, the shoulders and hands and feet as well. So if you are not quite sure maybe where to start, or you are quite interested in chair-based exercise, or want to just incorporate a few into your routine, you can do as many repetitions as you want, and it's up to you to kind of create the time you want to spend on it. But this might be a good place just to get some inspiration, and these are all available on our website. So pain management, this links back into exercise a little bit, but it can kind of explain why such exercise is so important. So The diagram you can see is the pain cycle, we call it. So you have the red side and the green side. And when you are experiencing a lot of pain, it can lead to a fear of movement. So over time, you might notice your muscles would weaken because obviously you're sitting more or not doing as much. And then because your muscles have weakened, it's become harder to move, which then kind of brings in more pain. So it's a way of overcoming that fear of movement to kind of help you move more. And that's where kind of starting small comes into it, to kind of get you moving that little bit more. And that's really important. Obviously, I'm talking about, I think I was saying to Chris at the beginning, it's when just please be aware of your levels of pain. If something is very extreme, like it's exercise is great and it will help most of the time, but if you're finding that over time your pain's got worse despite doing the exercise and despite moving and things like that, please do keep an eye on that. And if you are able to, please do go and talk to your GP about it, because it might be that there are other things that can be done. So it's kind of, these are great up until, all techniques are great up until a certain point where they stop working for you. So that's another really important thing to highlight as well. In such, pain is, well, it's a survival instinct, so it lets us know when something is wrong, but it can also increase our stress levels and it can be hard to relax. So to kind of help with that, to a more kind of on the lower side of things, but different kind of relaxation and breathing techniques. But please, and also don't compare your pain to other people, to think, oh, I'm not kind of feeling, my pain isn't bad enough to seek help. If you find that over time it's got much worse and you're not sure why, please do, please go and talk to somebody about that, because it's when it becomes unhelpful, that pain is something we need to do something about. And there's people like physiotherapists that can help, there's occupational therapists. So it's kind of pushing your GP a bit to kind of see what referrals can be made, rather than being told that you've got to put up with it. That's really, and it is difficult to do that, and we obviously, it's completely new times with what's going on with the health service, but it's something to kind of, that might be helpful for you. So it's not something that you have to put up with. And like I said, start small and build up. Things like mindfulness or distraction can be helpful if that works for you. But again, it might not work for you all of the time, and there might be time when you need a bit of extra support. So hopefully that that makes sense for you. Mental health and arthritis. So like I said, there's different kind of we've got the physical side of living with arthritis and the mental side. And again, it's similar to kind of experiencing pain. It is, obviously, if you are living with a long-term condition such as arthritis, it can be hard to stay positive when you're experiencing pain, and it can feel very isolating if you feel that you're the only one, say, out of your friendship group or like other organisations you belong to that kind of have that level of pain, and we can kind of go into ourselves a little bit. But we're talking more about the kind of low level anxiety maybe that comes with that. We do have a mental health directory to kind of help with that if you do feel that it's affecting your kind of day-to-day life and your routine, and you kind of get to the point where you think, I don't know what else to kind of do or where to get help. But again, it's just as important to get help for that. And our mental health directory is on our website, and it kind of lists lots of I think IAPT, so psychological talking therapies into that, and it can just be to kind of just help you really. And it's just something that's, again, really important to seek help if you need it. But the next step, we do have, I think these dates are wrong, I've not updated them, but we do have some online group meetings, so similar to this, where we meet, we run them throughout the month. We have coffee mornings, evening groups where people can just come along and talk about their arthritis with others that understand. But I will put a link to our event calendar so they're up to date. I forgot this slide within the talk, sorry. So yeah, it's just a good way to share experiences with other people that understand. We are a membership charity, but everything on our website, like I was saying, that's all free of charge. This is just if people want a little bit of extra help, and that's £20 a year. So it's kind of, you can have unlimited consultations with Martin, our dietitian. We have a network of physiotherapists and osteopaths, and we offer 2 subsidised treatments. We've got a telephone service called Arthritis Action Connect, where you can talk with other people over the phone that have arthritis if maybe groups aren't quite your thing. We've got a personalised member pathway if people kind of want a bit more help with setting goals. And that's with my colleague Terry. So that's really helpful, I think, for people that have been recently diagnosed. We've got our AGM and we have our magazine. But again, everything on our website, all the information is there. This is just an extra bit for some people that it might be helpful to. So yeah, I'll stop sharing these now. But if you do have any questions or just want to say something that's helped you if you have arthritis, then that would be really interesting to hear.
Can I ask one, please, Leah? That was very, very good talk, and lots of things to think about afterwards. This may be a silly question, but I find if I carry anything heavy, it starts my knees off. Should I carry smaller loads or heavier loads and bear it? I'm thinking like things like bucket of stones up the garden, that sort of thing, which is optional.
Yeah, that's interesting. I think maybe do a smaller load to see if that helps, like that, or maybe it could maybe thinking about maybe your posture as well when you are carrying something. Maybe if you're leaning over forwards and things like that. But yeah, it might be worth like just carrying slightly less to see if that helps, to see if that's got anything to do with it.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Yes, Leah, thanks very much. It's Tony Watts. We have spoken on the phone.
Hello.
There are many of us have over the years have had quite an energetic sporting activity, and we get all sorts of damage to knees and shoulders and the like, and hands. Are there any sort of solutions, if you like, to reducing the problems on knees and in other joints and hands? I might get problems in my hands, now as I've been the last 4 or 5 years. This is the joints are getting larger and stiffer. What sort of support can you give to that?
So in terms, particularly hands, exercise again is really important. So it's kind of, I know I was talking about different, like going to an exercise class and things like that, but also at the same time strengthening individual joints or kind of working on those. So for example, hand stiffness is very common, and one good thing, it sounds really simple, but just gripping something. So using a stress ball or some kind, it's called a therapy putty as well. That can be a really good thing to kind of start to build up the strength and the movement in the hands and the fingers and the wrists as well. So it's about looking at the specific areas that you have an issue with. And I think if doing that yourself doesn't help, then that's sometimes where a physiotherapist or an can come in to be quite helpful, because then the kind of exercises or that you are given are a bit more personalized to your situation. But on our website we have got some really good kind of body specific exercises like hands and knees, so that might be worth having a look. And we kind of see it as like a step-by-step guide of, will that help you? Then if not, then where does that extra support, such as a physio for example, need to come from?
Okay. And a supplementary to that, I mean, there are various gels on the market, things like ibuprofen gel and Voltarol. What do you think about the use of those sorts of gels?
Yeah, I think they can be really helpful if you're able to use them and take them. Another thing, if maybe you're not able to take the ibuprofen kind of gels or tablets, is using kind of heat or cold. So depending on what your joints prefer, whether that's using like a hot water bottle or one of those kind of heat things that you can put in the microwave, or some people prefer ice packs as well. So that can be helpful. And I think one of the reasons also, I remember, I think it was Martin that said it, when you're using gels, for example, it's something you're like rubbing onto your skin, and that in itself has a bit of a placebo effect, that you're rubbing it and it's kind of making it better. So that's kind of interesting. Some people we speak to like to use Tiger Balm, because obviously it's not kind of ibuprofen, for example, if you can't use that, and it's kind of a bit more relaxing. And that's as well, so where kind of like massage can come into things. So you can get those like spiky massage balls that you can rub over, like they're really good to put under your feet or to kind of rub on your shoulders and things like that. So again, that's something you can do yourself, but if you feel that you need a little bit more, then it might be worth, again, kind of what's the next step? Is it something that could you see a physio or even a massage therapist to help with that?
Leah, thank you very much indeed. It's been most interesting. You did say you'd give us links. That could go in the next e-news if you communicate it to Diana or Ruth.
Yeah, sure.
Because it does sound as if it's going to be very valuable to quite a few of us.
Yeah, sure, happy to do that.
I'll stick them in on our website as well.
Oh, we'll have them on the website, if you don't mind. That would be especially valuable, because it's a resource people do use from time to time. Thank you, Chris.
Working.
Thank you. I'll send those in. But thank you everyone for.
It's really very interesting. Yes, thanks very much.
Thanks everyone. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye.
Thank you.
Very much.
Thank you.